Okay, what we're going to do is the Cutter's Edge 2100 series maintenance. So basically it's an after maintenance program. We're going to disassemble the saw, inspect the parts, clean them, and reassemble the saw, check chain tension, and get the saw ready for service. So basically we start with, if the saw had a depth gauge, the depth gauge guard, what we would want to do is remove the hand nut, remove both parts of the depth gauge, inspect that depth gauge, and then clean it. You can clean it by wiping a rag through the inside. You just want to remove all the debris and tar or oil that's in there. You can use a light solvent if necessary, but you want to clean that and inspect that for any damage. The next step is removing the clutch cover. So we'll remove the clutch cover and the bar and chain. We're going to inspect the chain. What you're looking for is any damage. If missing carbide cutters, if you're missing 3 in a row or 6 anywhere around the loop, or more than 50% of any cutter, the carbide missing off of the cutter, then you'd want to have that chain repaired. Another good test is just to cut with the chain. The chain may be just dull. It's always a good idea if the chain is dull and you notice any slowdown in your cut, remove the chain, have it sharpened. We're then going to take a look at the bar, sprocket nose bar. We're going to clean the bar groove. You would take like a putty knife, clean the bar groove, remove the tar. If you use a solvent at all on that to remove any tar, what you don't want to do is wash any of the debris down into the sprocket nose of the bar. So you'd want to keep the bar tip up and remove any of that tar and debris if you're using a solvent. The next area of concern would be the oiler ports that are in either side of the bar, and they're on opposing ends of the bar so that you can flip the bar. When you remove the bar, you want to note which way the bar was on there, flip the bar over so we get even wear on the bar tip. So cleaning the bar groove, cleaning the oiler ports, removing any tar or sawdust, and then you'll notice at each end of the sprocket nose on both sides there's a small hole, the grease gun that comes with your saw. What you want to do after you're done cleaning the bar is pump some grease in there until it comes out around the sprocket nose. The next item would be the clutch cover. Again, any item we take off of here, any part we take off of here, you're going to want to inspect for damage, cracks. So thoroughly clean any tar, oil, or sawdust from inside of the clutch cover. And again, inspect it. The chain tensioner, make sure that's not bent or stripped. And make sure the clutch cover is in good condition. At that point, we're going to want to clean around the clutch area, remove any tar and debris from the whole area, the bar mounts, and around the front guard deflector. Any tar or debris that you have there, it can get down behind there. You can flush that out of there. You just want to make sure everything is clean there. So basically a general cleaning of the clutch area and the front guard deflector. The next thing we're going to do is remove the air filter. There are 2 ways to do it on the older 670 saw. You may actually have to remove the air filter. You will have to remove the air filter by loosening the filter clamp on the bottom of the filter. So to inspect the air filter, what I want to do is the pre-wrap. I want to make sure that's clean. It's not torn anywhere, has holes ripped in the sides of it. This can be cleaned with warm soapy water. Dried thoroughly, rinsed with clean water, and then dried thoroughly. You do not want to put a wet filter back on the saw. Anytime I remove the air filter cover or the air filter, I'm going to pull the choke lever out so nothing can be dropped down into the saw. And on the 2172, you'll actually notice there are 2 ports on the elbow on the back of the carburetor. So the outer port, I'm actually going to plug that because there's no choke lever in that port to prevent anything from going down and going into the cylinder. So I'm actually going to plug that port. I'll go back to the air filter, and what I'm looking for is I don't want to see any rips or tears in the rubber. The filter material is clean. It's a red in color. When it gets to the point where you run your finger over it, you see no more red down in there. This filter can be washed with warm soapy water also. Wash and rinse it from the inside out. So wash the outside of the filter, rinse it out by running water down through the inside to force the suds and any debris out through the outside of the filter. And then you're going to inspect the rubber. We don't want any tears. We want to make sure that the last person that serviced the saw didn't over tighten the filter clamp and cut the rubber. We don't want to pull any debris down into the saw through any torn rubber on the bottom. Once that's washed, again, it needs to be thoroughly dry. You don't want to put a wet filter back on the saw. The outside of the air filter should be sprayed with an air filter oil. Do not spray any oil inside the filter itself. Now, if we've used the saw, we have tar and debris all over the cylinder head. What we're going to do is remove the cylinder cover. So 3 screws around the top of the cover. Check the underside of the cylinder cover. We'll remove any debris or dirt under there. Again, rag, solvent if you have solvent available. Make sure that's clean and then dry it. One key area with the saw for prolonging the life of the saw is keeping the cylinder head clean. So basically, if you do have a solvent, if you don't, what you want to do is a smaller blade screwdriver that will fit in between the fins, and you can get in there and scrape any debris. What we don't want to do is pry either way against the fins and break one of the fins off or use something that's too large to get in there. So simply scraping, solvent on there. I know a lot of people don't have a parts washer. One thing that will work is some WD-40 sprayed on there, and then take a brush to it to loosen that tar. And then again, get in between the heads on the round part inside the fins and make sure we remove any tar buildup there. That will basically keep the cylinder cool while running the saw and prolong the life of the saw. If you do wash this in if you do want to clean this in a parts washer, if you have one available, one thing that we always recommend is covering the carburetor. We don't want any solvent down in the cylinder. Standing it on end so that the fluid runs down over top of the muffler deflector. We don't want to wash it in this position and fill the muffler up with solvent. So we would stand it up like that and scrub the cylinder head and let the parts washing solution run down off the front of the saw over top that deflector. One other thing I do is I pull out the pull cord at this point. You can actually look down through at the flywheel. If you have a lot of tar and buildup down there, you're going to want to remove the rewind starter. And I'll just basically check the cord for any fraying or damage. If the cord does not retract correctly, if you have a lot of tar down in there, remove the rewind starter, clean the face of the flywheel, and free up the starter pawls.